France. Middle Age. During Middle Age, the units had not really colors. They got often the heraldry of the Lord. The armies got the fleur-de-lis, a kind of French national flag, blue with lis flowers, because lis flowers were the symbol of France and of the King of France. Until the 19th century, the King of France had also an official battle standard, the oriflamme, a special flag, red with gold, and the motto, Montjoie Saint-Denis. When the king went to war, he had to take the oriflamme in Saint-Denis, near Paris. The knights, as lords, got their own colors. The French field units got a white cross, called Croix de France. The English got a red cross. Ancient regime. The French colors of the ancient regime got the same design, a white cross, the cross of France. The rest of the standard was depending of the regiment. Often, the Cross of France divided the flag in 4 equal quarters. The quarters could have the same color. Sometimes there were 2 colors, the top left and the bottom right quarters of one color, the top right and the bottom left of another. In the most part of the time, lis flowers were on the Cross of France, with an inscription or a motto. The regiment often got the name of the province, Picardy, Normandy, Piedmont, Provence, but were also called with special names like Regiment de Lorraine, which had a dark green and black quartered flag, with the Cross of France. Each regiment had its flag. The colonel, at the head of the regiment, had a special flag. It also had the White Cross of France, but the 4 quarters were white too. The actual flag of Quebec has exactly the design of the French colors of this time. Revolutionary Army. In 1794, the French army was reorganized following the Revolution. Regiments were renamed demi-brigades, with 3 battalions in each. The 1st battalion of each was raised from the volunteers, while the 3rd battalion were conscripts. These 2 received identical colors. The 2nd Battalion meanwhile was formed from a regiment of the old Royal Army, and received a different color from the 1st Battalion. The colors of all of the 2nd Battalions were identical to each other, while the 1st Battalions all received different colors. Imperial Army. In the Imperial Army under Napoleon, the 1st regiments received new colors, which were called eagles, from the eagle that was mounted atop the pole. Up to 1812, they resembled the colors of the Revolutionary Army, specifically the 1st Demi-Brigade of Infantry, with a white diamond and the corners filled in red, blue. The name of the regiment was written in gold on the obverse, and the words Valor et Discipline, together with the battalion number, on the reverse. The regiment's number was written in gold in the 4 corners. In 1812, a new pattern of colors was authorized. This used the French tricolor, fringed in gold, and with various regimental and imperial devices forming a frame around the gold writing. The obverse bore the name of the regiment, while the reverse listed its battle honors. However, only those actions in which the emperor himself had participated were permitted to be displayed, so some regiments had nothing on the reverse of their colors. Only the 1st battalion of each regiment was issued with this color. Subsequent battalions were issued with plain, colored marker flags, although the regulations issued specifically prohibited the addition of any inscriptions or insignia. Many battalions did so to allow them to stand out. Battalion flag colors after 1812: 1st Battalion, regimental color; 2nd Battalion, white flag; 3rd Battalion, red flag; 4th Battalion, blue flag; 5th Battalion, green flag; 6th Battalion, yellow flag. The regiments of the Imperial Guard were subjected to a similar pattern after 1812, with the 1st Battalion carrying the regiment's color, and subsequent battalions carrying plain red flags with either grenades or hunting horns in the center and at the corners. French colors prior to the Revolution. French colors from the Revolution onwards. Germany. Kingdom of Prussia. King Frederick II, known to history as Frederick the Great, ascended the throne of Prussia in 1740. Shortly thereafter he began to issue colors of a new pattern to the infantry regiments of the Prussian army. Under the new regulations, each regiment received 2 flags per battalion. The 1st Battalion carried the King's colour and 1 regimental colour, while the 2nd Battalion carried 2 regiments Fahnen. The Leibfahne had a white field and the regiment's Fahne had a field in the distinguishing colour of the regiment. In the centre of both colours was a circular tablet bearing the crowned Prussian eagle under a scroll inscribed Pro Gloria Patria, all within a wreath surmounted by the royal crown. The corners were decorated with crowned royal ciphers. The colors of the wreath, crown and ciphers could be either gold or silver. Unusually, Prussian infantry colors were longer at the hoist than on the fly, measuring 140 by 120 centimeters. Cords and tassels were silver and black. The colors were made of silk, with insignia painted on. The colors of the regular infantry regiments remained virtually unchanged from 1742 until 1806, when catastrophic defeat at the hands of Napoleon all but destroyed the once proud Prussian army. When new flags were issued to the reconstituted army beginning in 1811–12, the design was based on the original pattern, but with a number of modifications. Third Reich Army. The pattern of the colors for the German Army of the Third Reich was instituted in 1936. It encompasses a square white flag with a black iron cross, extending nearly to the edges. The cross has a silver border followed by a thinner black edge and a white fimbriation. In each corner is a black swastika. At the center of the flag is a white disc surrounded by a silver wreath and containing a black eagle grasping a black swastika. The color of the background varied depending on the branch of the service. Cavalry and artillery had the same pattern, but as a swallow-tailed standard rather than an ordinary Fahne. Luftwaffe. The ground troops of the Luftwaffe were given different colors to those of the army. It was either red or yellow, with a black-lined white diagonal cross. On the obverse in the center was an iron cross on top of a silver wreath. In each corner was a black swastika, with the whole flag trimmed in silver. The reverse was identical except for a silver eagle replacing the iron cross. Navy and Marines. The colors of the Marine Infantry and the Kriegsmarine were similar in design to those of the Luftwaffe. The flag itself was blue, with a black swastika replacing the eagle. The wreath was gold instead of black, as were the diagonal lines. In the corners were gold anchors and iron crosses. On the other side was an iron cross in the center, with gold eagles replacing the 2 iron crosses in the corners. The flag was fringed in gold. Waffen-SS. The colors awarded to the Waffen-SS were completely different from those of the rest of the armed forces. It was essentially the national flag, fringed with gold, with the battalion and regiment numbers in the top left-hand corner. Russia. Russian Empire. Soviet Union. Each unit in the armed forces of the Soviet Union had its own regimental color, which was produced to a standard design from the 1930s onward. Obverse, red field, a red star yellow bordered and the full name and number of a military unit below. Each unit has its own inscription. Reverse, red field, a gold hammer and sickle and the motto, "For our Soviet motherland." All the colors were red with gold fringe and square in form. The naval flags used by the Soviet Navy are white with a bottom blue stripe. Above it are the USSR's national symbols, the hammer and the sickle. There are many versions of this naval ensign. Guards regiments. The colors of those regiments that were classed as Guards was slightly different. These had the portrait of Lenin, the Tsar motto and the abbreviation USSR on the obverse and the small star with hammer and sickle in its center, unit's name and a motto on the reverse. The mottos were different for different regiments. Naval Guards units had a Guards ribbon included in the naval ensign whenever a ship becomes a Guards ship. Soviet Army colors. Spain, Kingdom of Spain. An army regulation of July 1810 stated that line infantry regiments of the Spanish army would bear two colors. The 1st Battalion would carry the coronilla, which was white and bore the royal coat of arms in the center, sometimes on top of a burgundy cross, surrounded by various regimental devices, while the 2nd Battalion would carry the censola, which would have a burgundy cross with the provincial coat of arms at the four corners, and the name of the regiment in the top half. In 1843, the regulations introduced a new pattern for regimental colors, with the censola replaced by the battleona. This was a flag that adopted the national colors of red, yellow, red horizontal stripes, with a simplified royal coat of arms in the center atop a small burgundy cross and the name of the regiment encircling it. Spain under Franco. Following the victory of General Franco in the Spanish Civil War, the Spanish Army adopted the policy of using only a single color, the battleona, with the new coat of arms in its center replacing the royal arms, and the name of the regiment encircling it.